Hey, NFL fans, for any Chicago Bears fans out there, we have a Bears-only YouTube channel. The link is right there, youtube.com/BearsNow for Chicago Bears coverage all year long, including this Bears video of the week.
Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham. It's mock draft time, mock draft 3.0 to be exact. I've done a couple already. Doing another one post-free agency edition as we're 2 weeks into free agency. Now the Bears have filled a lot of needs. You get that secondary pass rusher in Robert Quinn. Jimmy Graham helps solidify the tight end position a little bit at least. Artie Burns, Jermaine Ifedi, a couple of other notable signings as well. You bring back Danny Trevathan. So done a lot of moves in the offseason. Of course, traded for Nick Foles as well. The Bears do have 7 picks in the 2020 NFL draft. No more fourth-round comp pick as that went to Jacksonville for Nick Foles. But you have 2 top 50 picks, both in the second round, 1 fifth-round pick, a couple of sixth-round picks, and then 2 seventh-round picks as well. 7 draft picks in total for the Chicago Bears. This is my updated Bears biggest needs list in order. Offensive line, cornerback. I think those are the top 2 needs right now, at least in my opinion. Safety's another need, Deion Bush. And I'm not feeling great about that as Clinton-Dix has moved on to the Dallas Cowboys, so you could use someone next to Eddie Jackson. And then wide receiver, then I still threw in tight end. I think drafting a tight end probably on day 3 makes a decent amount of sense for the Chicago Bears. But what do you guys think? Before we get into today's mock, what is the Bears' biggest need as we sit right now? Obviously, a lot of things have changed in free agency. Offensive line is one area that hadn't had a lot of addressing so far. Obviously, the Bears signed Jermaine Ifedi, but he's mostly been a bust, so that's not going to solve any issues. What do you guys think the Bears' biggest need is? Go ahead and let me know down below. And before we get into the mock, I want to show you guys this sweet hoodie deal. You got to use promo code LILAC after you go to this link, chatsports.com/Bears hoodies. A bunch of these are on sale when you use promo code LILAC. That's LILAC. You see the promo code right below me on your screen. You get this sweet Khalil Mack one. I love that bright orange one we just showed you. And then this one is pretty sweet as well with the old school Bears logo. That's just scratching the surface of the different Bears hoodies we have on sale with our partners, Fanatics. Check the links in the comments, chatsports.com/Bears hoodies. It'll also be in the description as well. So let's get into it. Let's get into mock draft 3.0, starting with the cornerback position. I addressed CB early. Trevon Diggs, the corner out of Alabama, great value here. He could go in round 1 when the NFL draft is actually here. To get him at 43 is very, very good. Good size, 6'2", over 200 pounds, played some safety at Alabama, so he's got some versatility. He is better in zone than he is in man, so keep that in mind. But again, you get this guy in the middle of the second round, you're doing pretty good. I think the way this mock draft fell really well for me, especially early on. Trevon Diggs, 8 pass breakups, 3 interceptions last year, a touchdown. Really good player for Nick Saban's defense. Grew a little bit each and every year. Now he's poised. I think he can be a solid number 2 corner in the NFL, which is what the Bears need opposite of Fuller. Other players on the board when I took Trevon Diggs, quarterback Jordan Love, believe it or not, was still available. I did consider that. Ezra Cleveland, offensive tackle out of Boise State, A.J. Terrell, the cornerback, K.J. Hamler, the wide receiver out of Penn State, and then Lucas Niang, the tackle out of TCU. So a couple of offensive linemen there, but I think guard is a bigger need, so I went ahead and went corner with Trevon Diggs. But I mentioned Jordan Love was there. So pick a player. If both these guys are sitting there at 43, who are you taking? Trevon Diggs, type D? I think it's Jordan Love, type L. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So go ahead, scroll on down, answer this question. Who would you draft at 43, Jordan Love or Trevon Diggs? If you chose Trevon Diggs, you're doing pretty well because Love is in the air as he still was on the board at number 50 overall. I couldn't believe it. This mock draft fell extremely well early on. Guys, I fell for it. I took Jordan Love. It's a risk. He's one of the biggest wild cards in this draft. But if you can get maybe the second most talented quarterback in this draft in the middle of the second round, it's something you got to consider. I know the Bears took and traded for Nick Foles. They got Mitchell Trubisky, but Are we set on either of those guys for the long term? I'm not really there. I think they can both be serviceable, but you bring in Jordan Love, he sits for a year or two and he grows. I think there's very big potential here. Yeah, he regressed this past year, but keep in mind, Utah State's entire staff left for Texas Tech after 2018. They lost some key players as well. He didn't play as well last year, but he did well at the Senior Bowl. He did good at the NFL Combine. It's a risk. You might draft him and he may not do that well, but I definitely think it could be a risk worth taking in round 2. You look at the depth chart, Nick Foles, Trubisky, we'll see who starts. Obviously, it looks like there's going to be a quarterback competition. Tyler Bray is on the roster as well, but you bring in Jordan Love and kind of sit him for a year as a redshirt type of player, that is very, very intriguing to me. So I took Jordan Love. Other players on the board, Antoine Winfield was probably the most intriguing, the safety out of Minnesota. Offensive tackle Austin Jackson was there. He was another player I looked at. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Justin Matabuke, and then Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. Some other players on the board when I took Jordan Love. Should the Bears draft a quarterback in round 2? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think it depends who's available. I wouldn't take Jake Fromm or even necessarily Jalen Hurts there. But Jordan Love, if he slides, he's there at 43 or 50 and they take him, you're not going to get a complaint out of me because he has serious boom potential. So type Y for yes, type in for no, and then let me know down below. So you got to wait a while. Obviously, the Bears don't have a third. They don't have a 4th round pick. So we go all the way to round 5 and go offensive line here. Jack Driscoll played tackle at UMass and Auburn. Played at Auburn his last 2 seasons as a grad transfer. Bit undersized as a tackle at 296. He is 6'5", doesn't have the longest arms, though, doesn't play with a ton of great strength. I think there could be an option for him to slide inside and play some guard. I don't love his length as a tackle. He needs to beef up a little bit, get a little bit stronger, but he's a smart player. He graduated from UMass in 3 years. So that's pretty impressive in its own right. But can he become a swing tackle / guard, rotation type of guy? I think that's kind of what you're looking for. Obviously, you're not going to get a starting caliber offensive lineman in round 5, probably. But this team still needs a right guard. It probably could at least use some competition at the tackle spots. I think that's why they brought in Jermaine Ifedi. But Jack Driscoll has some versatility. He's a smart player. You could do a whole lot worse in the 5th round. Some other players I considered who were on the board, J.R. Reed, the safety out of Georgia. We've taken him before in a previous mock draft. He's a nice, versatile player. LaMichael Pirine, Quentin Cephas, a couple of skilled players. Harrison Bryant, the tight end out of Florida Atlantic, was still there. I heavily considered him, but I went offensive line instead. And then Javelin Guidry, the cornerback out of Utah State. That is a dope name, which means he has a very good chance of being very, very good. That is how this works. The way this also works is if you hit that red subscribe button, it would mean a whole lot to us here at Chicago Bears Now. We're approaching 5,000 subs, trying to get there by the end of the month. If you want more draft coverage, subscribe. If we get enough subscribers on this video, we'll ramp up our draft coverage leading up to the 2020 NFL Draft. It's very easy. You just hit that red subscribe button, boom, you're subscribed, and we continue to grow the channel, plug out more and more videos for you guys. Next up here, as we go into the 6th round, pick number 196, Tanner Muse, the safety out of Clemson, 3-year starter. He was a team captain, very much a team guy, a glue guy for Clemson and that football program under Dabo Swinney. Look, I was impressed that he ran a 4.41 at the Combine. I did not expect that at all. His athleticism is better than I thought. I think this guy's going to be a day 3 steal. He'll come in, be a special teams contributor right away. And I think he's got a decent shot of becoming a starting safety at some point in his career. I look at a guy like Xavier Woods in Dallas, who was a 6th-round pick, and he became a starter basically right away. I think that could happen with Tanner Muse. He's 6'2", 230, good athlete, very productive at Clemson, played a decent amount in all 4 years, especially his last 3 years on campus. He had 6 picks the last 2 years. That is a good sign to me. He's a playmaker. He has good instincts. If you get him in round 6, I am very, very pleased with this selection. Other players on the board at the time, Shewa Olanolua, the running back out of TCU, Jawan Jennings, the Tennessee wide receiver, Neville Clark, the cornerback out of UCF, Mohamed Barry, then tight end Dalton Keene were available. Now, keep in mind, Bears pick just 4 selections later, and I went with one of these players, Dalton Keene, the tight end out of Virginia Tech. I believe we took him on our last mock draft. Not 100% sure, but I think we did. And I'm taking him again. Versatile player. Not a ton of production, but he tested really well at the combine. He was top 5 in every category among tight ends except for the vertical jump. So good athleticism, ran well as well, did good drills in the cone stuff and all that, good strength, all of that. I think you sit him behind Jimmy Graham and Trey Burton and you let him learn for a year. I don't think drafting a tight end is out of the question just because you signed Jimmy Graham. Like, there's a lot of tight ends on this roster. A lot of them aren't very good. I did like the Demetrius Harris pickup as well. So your top 3 guys are good, but bring in Keene, basically redshirt him, and then, a year from now, you see where you sit at tight end. I think you could do a whole lot worse. Some other players on the board when I took Dalton King, Juwan Jennings still there, Muhammad Berry, the running back out of UCLA, Joshua Kelly, Benjamin Victor, the Ohio State wide receiver, and then Dane Jackson, the cornerback out of Pittsburgh. These are some of the other guys I took a look at before settling on Dalton King with the number 200 pick in my Bears mock draft 3.0. Non-draft related, just want to know, I'm just curious, who's your favorite Bear of all time? Favorite Bears player ever? It could be anyway. If you're a 75-year-old watching this, tell me some dude from the 50s I've probably never heard of. I'm open to all answers. Obviously, I'm younger. Devin Hester, Brian Urlacher, those are some guys that come to mind. Obviously, there's been a ton of good Chicago Bears. Walter Payton, of course. I wish I could have watched him in his prime. Go ahead and cast your votes down below. Let's move into round 7 where the Bears have 2 picks. Pick number 226. Producer Dylan loves this one as he's an Oklahoma State grad. A.J. Green, the cornerback, did not run or test very well at the combine, but he did run better at his pro day. Has some versatility. He can play nickel. He can play cornerback. His chance of sticking in the NFL, at least right away, will be special teams. He needs to do well as a special teams player. If he can do that, I think he can emerge as a player down the line, a rotation corner type. I'm not sure he'll ever be a starter, but he does have good size at 6'1", 195 pounds. So I like A.J. Green. He was productive. He had a pick 6 last year, 5 pass breakups, had 11 pass breakups in 2018. So past 2 years, he's been pretty good. At round 7, it's pretty good to get a Big 12 corner who's been pretty productive. Some other players on the board when I took A.J. Green, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, was still there. Benjamin Victor, a couple of Tulsa players, and Trevis Gibson and Reggie Robinson, a couple of Miami players as well. Jeff Thomas, the wide receiver, and Trevon Hill, the defensive line. Then a very productive player is James Proche as I wrap up my Bears mock draft. His career stats, which I'll show in a second, are just off the charts. Like, look, he doesn't have great size. He doesn't have great speed, but he runs polished routes. I think he'll have a chance to stick because the guy is just a flat-out playmaker. He's got great hands. Look at this production from James Proche. It's just ridiculous what this guy did in 4 years at SMU. Over 300 catches, almost 4,000 yards, 39 touchdowns. Yeah, SMU was good this past year, but like his first 3 years on campus, they were not good at all, and he still put up monster numbers. Productive, yeah, he played in a smaller conference, but I think he will stick in the NFL. He can play slot, he can play outside. Doesn't have premier speed, but he is fast enough. And I like the idea of getting him in the 7th round because he was very, very productive in college at SMU. Other players on the board when I took James Proche, Trevis Gibson, the Tulsa edge, Jeff Thomas, Trevon Hill, Lavert Hill, and then Kendrick Rogers, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. So a couple of other receivers were in the mix. I settled on James Proche, the wide receiver out of SMU. I just love his productivity. I watched him a few times in person. He's really, really impressive. So grade my mock draft 3.0, A, B, C, D, or F. I'll recap it in just a moment. Go ahead and give me a grade, A, B, C, D, or F. I think this is my favorite one so far. Yeah, I didn't get an interior offensive lineman. Sometimes when you do these mock draft simulations, it just doesn't fall the way you want to. So go ahead and grade it for me, A, B, C, D, or F, and then I'll recap it real quick for you. Here we go. Trevon Diggs was my first pick in round 2 at number 43, and then Jordan Love at pick number 50. I love what I was able to do in the 2nd round. Jack Driscoll, the versatile offensive lineman out of Auburn, in round 5. And then in round 6, both my 6th round picks, Tanner Muse, the safety out of Clemson, Dalton King out of Virginia Tech. And then A.J. Green and James Proche round out my Bears mock draft 3.0. I like a lot of the picks I made. We'll do mock draft 4.0 sometime in the next week or two as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft.